So in this video, we're going to finish up our roof by correcting the roof decking here. Of course, this is floor decking that's been moved up, which is concrete and steel. We're going to change that to steel and insulation. So we've got our top of roof over here up. We really don't need this level 3, so let's just turn that off, get that out of the way. And so we only got the top of roof and this 3D view set up. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the shape back of this roof to reflect what we need. If I can get a hold of it. Okay, let's tab key. There we go. Okay, so we're going to change the shape of this roof. We'll probably need to turn it on here. I turned it off earlier, so I'm going to go back in here, grab it, and turn it back on. Oh, yeah. Unhide element. Okay, and now let's change its boundary from what it was. So to do that, we're going to select it. We're going to go into mode here, edit boundary. Okay, and then of course here's our boundary, and really all we have to do is delete a few of these lines. So we don't need that one, we don't need that one, we don't need that one, and we don't need that one, and we just need to trim those together. The same thing here. We don't, and I'm just hitting the delete key. I'm selecting and hitting the delete key. I forgot to tell you that, but I'm going to select that one, hit delete key, and then trim these two together. And now we have a roof that covers the whole roof. And I'm just going to accept that. And sure enough, now, but now it's made out of the wrong material. And so what I'm going to do is come in and correct that. If we look at this roof here, okay, you'll see it's a roof. It's made with a floor system, okay. That's the best way that I know to do that. So let's look at that floor system slash roof. And so what we have is, let's preview it. Okay. Let's make this so we can see it a little bit better. It didn't work. Okay, get it back on my screen here. So here's our metal deck. Okay, some things I want you to show you is under structural metal deck, you'll see it says 3 inches here because we're using a roof. Okay, we're using a roof deck. We're using a 3-inch by 8-inch. That means the rib depth is 3 inches and the rib width is 8 inches. Okay, so this is 8 inches from here to here, and the depth is 3 inches from here to here. And then we're using 6 inches of rigid styrofoam or rigid insulation. And rigid insulation is 5 R per inch. And so to get a R30 roof, we're going to need to have 6 inches of it. 5 times 6 is 30, right? And so we set the deck profile here. The next thing we're going to do is to convert this in our floor system. We had the boundary layer above, okay, so that the concrete went down and integrated with the deck. Here we're going to do a standalone deck so that the deck is above that. So we now have, and notice that this changes too. When I put it here, this goes to 0, and it's just counting this structural element here, which is really not structure. I need to change that. Standalone. This is not structure. This is our thermal layer. Okay. No, it would be a finish layer. Okay. I think that's right. Yes. Okay. And so I'm going to, and so our total default thickness of our roof is 9 inches, and that's going to be important. Okay, so it's 6 inches plus 3 inches. And say okay. We're going to say okay. Now let's go in and let's take a look right here of the previous one that I built in this joint right here. So I'm going to flip over here to the left view and zoom in. Okay, we can't see the decking in that. Is this set to fine? Yeah. So let's put a section in here. Oh no, let's go to the west elevation. I think west elevation. And with the west elevation open here, we can zoom in and we can see the detail of our roof deck. So here's our floor deck right here, but here's our roof deck with the insulation sitting on top of it. That's 9 inches, right? That's 9 inches total. And notice that it's going to be deeper because this is only 6 inches, right? So all these beams are going to have to move down to 9 inches. All these beams and girders are going to have to move down to 9 inches. So we'll do that. But because we want the roof to be right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I could either move them or we can change the depth here. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to hit the tab key here until I get that roof. Okay, let's go. I'm going to do this so that you can see it changing. Okay. It's in wireframe. I changed it to wireframe there a second ago. Oh, save project. And so here's that roof, right? Right there. And so we're going to change it from to a roof R30 3-inch steel deck, okay, which is a total of 9 inches. And as we can see, whoa. Oh yeah. I chose the wrong one, so let's go back and select the right one. So I've still got that selected. I'm going to go in here, and we should be roof R30 3-inch steel deck only. Okay, and so if we select that, we now have our insulation, which is 6 inches, but you can see the deck is down below the beam, and we don't want that. So we need to move all those beams. What I'm going to do to make it easier to move all those beams, I'm going to go into this view right here. Okay. And I'm going to select that deck and hide it. Okay. So then what I can do is come in here and use my selection tool to grab all those beams and girders that are on that level. Maybe. Okay, there we go. I'm playing with my wheel at the same time I'm selecting the wheel of my mouse. Okay, so I've got all that selected. And you'll notice over here, it says, top of roof is where it starts. The work plane is the top of roof. And then down here where it says Z justification top, okay, notice it says Z offset value, and that's blank. And the reason is because I have two different values there. One is these, I selected these beams that have already been moved down, and then I selected the ones that haven't been. So I'm going to go in here, set this to 9 inches, minus 9 inches. Don't forget the minus 9 inches, and apply that. And that's going to drop all those beams down where they should be, and that is even with the beams that I originally made that are in the file. Okay. And then you'll notice that all my columns now are the wrong height. And so they need to drop down to 9 inches instead of 6 inches too. So once again, I'm going to select all those columns using a cross. We'll get all the columns. And this should be now 9 inches instead of 6 inches here. And we'll apply that. And that should bring them down now where they're below the decking, and the decking can go over the top of them because it needs to go over the top of them. So let's go back to our view here. So in this view, we can see there's some structure we probably need to fix on the roof. Probably better you can see it. I'm going to hide this real quickly so you can see these elements here, so that you can see this. This is okay. We got our decking running this way. Once again, if we keep our decking running this way, the engineer's probably going to want to line all these up so that they're not putting forces on that girder unequally. In other words, they're all connecting at the same location, or they may or may not. I can move these. I'll just move a couple of them to show you because there can be some issues. Let's just move here the center line of that, and we want to move it to the center line of the other beam here. If I can find it with it snapping here. There we go. Okay. Notice that even though I didn't go parallel, it won't move it except in the X direction. And then the same thing here. This needs to line up. But here's the one that's tricky. This right here, when I put this beam in and copied it and moved it up, I linked it to this particular beam right there. Okay, and I created a joint here that's really not acceptable. So we really do need to move this. So I'm going to use a move command, but because these are already joined together, I'm going to disconnect them by pulling back that point. Okay, and then I'll be able to move it over to line up with that grid line there. So I'm going to do move to the center line of this. Well, select that, move, and then grab the center line. Okay. I get the center line of that, and I'm going to want to, once again, move that and pull it all the way into where it's connected to that beam now. Okay, and that's really the way it should be. Then I can go offline. There's no sense in you watching me move these other things. I'll go offline and move them all and correct them. Here, if our decking is all running this direction, then what we might want is a couple of other pieces here. There's a couple of ways to do that. Once again, would be just to select that, say create a similar, and then just boom, boom, okay, and boom, boom. And now we can run our deck continuously, and it's got good support. This might be changed some because it is roofing, but nonetheless, this will work. And may not be the most efficient, but really the engineer is the one who should be doing that. So now we've got all of our structure done, and we should be ready to go and set up all our views. We have all of our structure, all of our floors. And so in the next few videos, I'm going to cover setting up the views that you need to capture and turn in to us.